Vale, vamos allá. Vamos a empezar. Me he dejado cosas. Me he dejado cosas que no debería haberme dejado. ¿Se ve?
Hello, beautiful. It's me.
The excitement of seeing you is killing me.
Ajá.
Today's newspaper is on the counter.
Ok, a ver qué pone.
Times dated June 20th, 1993. Gabriel scans over an uninteresting front page. Under the cultural events section, there's a notice about a lecture on African religions. The lecture is at Tulane University.
Okay.
Gabriel's horoscope for the day. An evil eye is upon you. Change your course before it's too late.
Lighten up.
Ok. Eventos culturales para hoy. Mediodía. No se pierda hoy la conferencia pública en la Universidad. Ok. Vale. Efectivamente. Nos estaba faltando esto.
It looks like the lecture is just starting.
Vudú is the tribal religion of Africa, but the name Vudú is actually a banner heading, under which resides an entire body of distinct tribal belief systems. The word Vudú may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems, voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of these subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common. The most important is the worship of a pantheon of spirits, instead of the single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems have. Some of these spirits are elementals. Some relate to specific tasks or places. Some represent important tribal leaders who have died. This spirit worship is what makes voodoo so easily adaptable. With all these spirits, it's no problem to add a few more. Say, for example, the Virgin Mary. At the height of tribal Africa, warfare was common. One tribe would conquer another, and the Loa, important in the conqueror's tribal system, would be adopted readily into the conquered tribe's Loa pantheon. In this way, many of the voodoo cults spread and mingled throughout tribal Africa, enriching the belief system and causing innumerable offshoots. The basis for the voodoo religion seems to be as old as man himself. It has much in common with many early pagan practices. Animal totems, sympathetic magic, elemental spirits in the trees, the heavens, the bodies of the sick. Africa is believed by many to be the cradle of the human race. Some of the voodoo Loa may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And note, I said primal, not primitive. There are African Bokors who baffle our scientists with their supernatural powers. Now, let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating
Varias
guy.
tienes.
In voodoo,
Muchas gracias.
the spirits are called the Loa. During a voodoo ceremony, celebrants are possessed by the Loa. This is called being ridden. The human worshipper is seen as a horse, and the Loa as the divine horseman. A person being ridden by a Loa takes on the characteristics of that spirit and becomes, in effect, merely a vessel for the more powerful entity. Some of the older original Africa Loa include Dambala, the great serpent god, Ezuli, the mistress of love, Papa Nebo, or Gede, the lord of death, Awe, the spirit of water, Legba, spirit of the crossroads, and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the lord of destruction.
I gotta get more sleep at night.
Tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called Houndfors. Their priests, Houngan or Bokors, their priestesses, Mama Loa. In a Voodoo Houndfor, there's a ritual circle marked by a center pole called a Poto Meton. During ritual conclaves, initiates dance under the supervision of a bokor and a mamaloa, or head priestess. The use of totems, or animal masks and markings, was not uncommon in the original African ceremonies. Now, though, all but the oldest sects have abandoned this practice. Ritual objects used during the conclaves included the ritual gourd, or asan, the ritual knife, or kubasa,
That knife gives me the chills.
the ritual whip, or fouetcache, and the ritual coffin, or seke madule. These items are often optional, called for by the mamaloa for specific magical
hemos visto
rituals.
todos en el
The
museo.
mamaloa is the most powerful figure in any voodoo sect. Voodoo is a truly matriarchal system. Even the bokor knows his power is limited. The mamaloa is the supreme woman. She goes out of her house at night, sees many things, and tries to get butterflies. And at night again, she sees other things, including fireflies.
Ok. Qué desgraciado, ¿eh?
Firelight. Gabriel?
What? Can't see.
Gabriel, get in.
Can't. It's too small for me.
You must get in, Gabriel.
It's not mine. Too small.
Hide, Gabriel, hide.
No! Let me out! Help!
Young man, the lecture is over.
Oh my god. Sorry.
Qué desastre. Qué desastre. Logro desbloqueado. Estudios de vudú avanzados.
Can you tell me anything about this?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back. Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself.
Have you heard of the voodoo murders?
No. You're kidding. Really? Then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this veve is authentic?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm undercover. You can contact me at St. George's Bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this, if you don't mind.
Me gustaría hablar contigo primero.
Are you a student?
No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you've already interrupted and slept through my lecture, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
Vale, mira, aquí tenemos buena conversación. Vamos a empezar por lo importante.
Do you know what Capli Sankar means?
Cabri Sancourt? Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
What was that translation for Capli Sankar again?
It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
Okay.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treat voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
The Catholic Church has always dominated in New Orleans, and its imagery, in turn, has dominated New Orleans voodoo.
Digo, una fusión con la señora.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
If there's more you wish to know, perhaps you should read my books.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel. Huh.
Vale, esto ya lo sabemos.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting, from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African voodoo religions.
Do you know anything about veves?
I told you I would research it, Mr. Knight. When I have anything concrete, I'll let you know.
Tell me about Damballa.
Damballa is one of the major Rada-Loa, also known as Damballa Wedo. He is an ancient Dahomean rain god, often represented as a large boa constrictor. Damballa is the most powerful and most violent of the Rada-Loa. The Rada-Loa are typically benevolent, as opposed, say, to the Patro-Loa. He is still worshipped heavily in Haiti, and when voodoo first started in New Orleans, the early conclaves were reportedly based on the worship of the great zombie, the great serpent, Damballa.
Tell me more about Damballa.
I have extensive courses in the Loa running next semester. Perhaps you should take one of those, Mr. Knight.
Es interesante, la verdad.
Tell me about Ogun Badagry.
Ogun Badagry is one of the Patro-Loa. The Patro-Loa are much more violent than the Rada-Loa. Some people believe the Patro-Loa originated in Haiti, but I have found some evidence that the Patro-Loa were African as well, though worshipped only by a small voodoo tribe, and a very bloody one.
Tell me more about Ogun Badagry.
He is a chief nasty, Mr. Knight. He is the spirit of war and destruction.
Vale, sacrificio humano.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible, if that's what the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Ezuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Ezuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Houngan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papa Nebo. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that Loa will simply take it for themselves.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
I wouldn't dwell on it. Most voodoo sects probably haven't seen a human sacrifice for several generations.
Ok, vamos Un poco de chit-chat, aunque ya hemos sacado todo lo que tenemos que sacar de este caballero, creo.
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight. I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
Cojones.
Oh, no.
Fine.
El detalle. Jesus.
I'd really like to know more about you.
There have been several articles written about me, Mr. Knight, as well as blurbs on my book jackets. If you want a biography, read.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
Someone is touchy.
You must travel a lot.
Yes, to Africa mainly.
I'm very interested in voodoo myself right now.
How nice for you.
Vale, a lo mejor le puedo enseñar más cosas. Oops, maybe.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I've never seen those symbols. Therefore, they're probably meaningless.
Really? Are you sure?
I'm never wrong, Mr. Knight. Therefore, sure is not in my vocabulary.
Vamos a enseñarle las cámaras y luego le enseñaremos la foto.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Is there anything you can tell me about the voodoo aspects of this photograph?
This is a serious voodoo ritual. Nasty stuff.
In what way?
Let's see. I can't make out much detail from this photograph, except for the corpse, of course, but the wound, the face, and what little I can see of the ritual paraphernalia, it reminds me of certain black voodoo practices. Very rare. I've never witnessed them myself, you understand.
Really? Interesting. Thanks.
Perfecto. Hombre, está bien el punto de vista analítico sobre el tema. Obviamente le ha parecido desagradable, pero nos ha dado información valiosa. Me gustaría pasarme por la comisaría, ahora que lo pienso, porque si lo que está pintado, en la tumba de María Levó es un código que utilizan las mafias o algo así para comunicarse, a lo mejor mi colega sabe algo.
Mostly, my man.
It's you. God help me.
That doesn't seem to work that way.
Ok. Voy a probar con los otros policías.
I'm gonna hit the road.
Ciao, baby.
He doesn't seem interested in that.
Vale, nada. Pues nos vamos a... Ahora sí. Y vamos a hablar con Cazaunu.
All right, but this is private.
Qué maravilla.
Yes? Who is it?
Padre McLaughlin.
It's Father McLaughlin back again, don't you know?
Yes, Father. Come on in. Please be seated, Father.
Thank you.
Now, what can I do for you?
A ver.
Do you mind if I ask you a few more questions, madam?
If you wish, Father.
Ahora le preguntaremos sobre todo esto que hemos aprendido, ¿eh?
That Caprice and Car thing.
Do not continue to tease me, Father. You know what it means as well as I.
It means goat without horns.
Father, you surprised me. You do know what it means. You know what they mean by goat without horns, don't you? A human being. That's right. Slit your throat, cut out your heart. Pure evil murder.
Ok.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She was only a front for the real evildoers, Father. And that's the truth about Marie Laveau.
Do you know anything about Veves?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Oh, yes, Father. It is the wickedest kind. The kind they practice here in New Orleans.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Bueno, ahí ya tenemos, supongo que tenemos más conversación para hablar con el del museo y con el de la tienda.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about human sacrifice here in New Orleans?
Well, my great-grandma there could tell stories. She saw it. People say that sort of thing wasn't done in New Orleans, but the real voodoo queens did it. Oh, yes.
Reinas de vudú.
Can you tell me anything else about human sacrifice?
What is to tell? They cut your heart out.
Me ha gustado ese sonido.
Who are the real voodoo queens?
Well, my great-grandma there told me that Laveau was just a front, a flamboyant decoy. She distracted authorities from the real voodoo queen of New Orleans. It's been the same one for almost 200 years. She's head of a secret voodoo enfant. That's what they call their temples, you know. It's so secret, most of the voodoo people in the city don't even know about it. The real voodoo queen controlled Laveau, gave her a little bit of power, and used her like a puppet.
Ajá.
Is there anything else you can remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, my great-grandma there said the real voodoo queen was the most beautiful woman on earth. She had the most incredible copper-colored skin.
Is there anything...
Well, they're all brides of Satan. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Tell me more about this secret voodoo hound for.
Well, I've never seen it. I wouldn't go near it if you paid me. But it's here in New Orleans, I guarantee it. I hear their drums at night, oh yes. That's why I'm so ill, I tell you, those drums. But we shouldn't talk about it. They'll hear us. It's the devil's work that happens there, I can tell you. I'll show you something secret. You mustn't tell anyone, Father.
I swear on my collar.
Here it is, mon père. A true object of evil if ever there was one.
It radiates something, all right.
It belonged to my great-grandmother. She told my mother that it was a token to gain entrance to the real voodoo ceremonies.
You don't say.
To tell you the truth, I've always felt nervous about having it in the house. You know, evil influence and all.
I can see how you would, yes.
And yet, I could never part with it. It's been in the family for generations. Would you bless it for me, Father? I feel strange asking such a thing of you, but surely you understand.
Ok.
Bless this bracelet of a snake. Even though its vibes aren't great, let it do nobody harm when they wear it on their arm. Voodoo spirits, go away. Don't come back another day. And now let us pray.
There's no point in using that on the bracelet.
¿Puedo hacer algo con él?
Gabriel has a thought about the clay.
Bless,
Perfecto.
oh bless this circlet of silver.
Perfecto, he hecho un molde,
Take
¿verdad?
the curse, oh take it, Wilbur.
A lovely blessing, mon père.
Yes, I think it made a lasting impression. Here you go.
I feel so much better
Vale,
now.
Edu, muchas gracias por haber venido. Perfecto, logro desbloqueado. Marcando una impresión. Making an impression.
Tell me more about this secret voodoo hound for.
I told you we shouldn't talk about it.
Vale. Pues ojo, muy bien, ¿eh?
It's a clay mold of Madame Casano's snake bracelet.
Perfecto, perfecto. Ok. Ya veremos qué podemos hacer con esto. Ok. Vale.
It's getting late. Gabriel decides to go home for the day.
Pensaba ir al museo. No lo he desbloqueado ya 3. ¡Ojo! ¡Ojo, gente, eh!
I'm going inside.
Oh, I'm afraid St. George's is closed for the day.
I'm not a customer. I'm here to see the owner.
Why don't you just leave your name and number with me, and I'll tell him you stopped by.
Pobres.
Listen, if Gabriel is here, he'll want to see me. Is he? Here?
I really couldn't say for certain, but in the morning...
Gracie, say goodnight.
Qué desgraciado.
You came. I didn't think you would.
I didn't think I would either.
Your eyes. I could show you around a little. It's not much, but...
Please don't. I couldn't focus on much of anything right now.
Yeah, I know. God, what is it about you?
Just shut up and kiss me.
Muy bien. Mira el cielo, mira el cielo. A tope. Día 4. Hablé con aquel que olía a muerte. Me prestó su oído al hablar. Y cruces que fueron marcadas se volvieron un velo de lágrimas a llorar. ¡Ojo! ¡La ventana! ¡Qué mal rollo me ha dado!
You're not speaking to me this morning?
Don't be silly. I just have nothing to say.
Have it your way.
Jealous much. Muchas gracias, ¿eh?
Have you noticed this guy outside the shop?
Yeah, he gives me the creeps. I wish he'd go away.
Did you find out anything about that pattern I gave you?
Yeah, I did find something. I checked the microfiche at the public library. I found an article about a murder in 1810. The newspaper published part of a pattern found around the body. It looks damn close.
You're incredible. All that work.
Forget it.
Uno. Nice the...
Gabriel watches the man watching the shop.
Get the hell out of here.
The figure outside does not respond.
A ver, periódico. Vamos a leer el periódico.
Today's newspaper is on the counter. Times dated June 21st, 1993. Gabriel's eye is immediately drawn to an article about the voodoo murders. He scans it quickly.
I don't believe this. They've closed the case.
¿En
What case?
serio?
The voodoo murders case. The paper says that the police have learned that the murders were a result of an underworld cartel war, and that the war is over.
That's not good?
It's ridiculous. And what about the killers? And the voodoo angle, they never got anything on that.
I know you were into it, Gabriel, but if it's over, that's hardly a negative. Anyway, if you're that upset, why don't you talk it over with your pal Mosley?
You don't get it, Grace. Just forget it, okay?
Gabriel decides to check his horoscope, despite his disgust. Death walks close to you today. Resist temptation lest his eye fall on you, too.
Peachy.
Gabriel also spots an ad for Sam Springleton, a jeweler. Sam hangs out at the Napoleon House.
Ok. ¡Ah, para el brazalete! ¡Nice! ¡Qué bien! Hostia, leer el periódico es fundamental en el juego, ¿eh? La casa de Napoleón. Tenemos 2 sitios desbloqueados, ¿eh? El mirador, la casa de Napoleón. He terminado aquí, así que... ¡Ojo!
Hey, kids!
Bruno, how nice.
Gee, a customer.
Of yours? Hardly.
How's the flower business?
Well, better than the used book business, I see.
Rare books.
That explains why I so rarely see anyone in here. Are you gonna sell me that wonderful painting of yours today?
¿Cuánto?
How much would you give me for it?
Oh, you're serious? You'll let me have it?
Gabriel, don't you dare sell your father's painting.
Yeah, I'll let you have it all right. How much for the painting?
Well, I could give you 100. That's all I can let go at the moment, you know. My affairs are so tied up.
Gabriel, $100 for your father's painting?
Stay out of this, Grace. Forget it, Bruno. Not for 100. Not now.
Have it your way. The 100 goes with me. I'll be back, though. I can see how much you want it.
Yeah, well, I'll show you wanting it.
Careful. You don't want to damage the door with your incredible wit.
Ah, man. Hemos calentado la cabeza. Hemos calentado la cabeza, Grace. No te preocupes. No te preocupes. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Artículos sobre vudú?
The newspaper clipping describes a ritualistic murder in Congo Square. It includes a rough sketch of a pattern found around the body. The sketch is very similar to the reconstructed Veve.
Bastante similar, de hecho, si no es el mismo. Sí, es bastante similar. Ok, pues vamos a hablar con Grace y luego nos vamos a hacer cositas.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Do you have messages for me?
Your grandmother called. She said to remind you to stop by and go through your father's things.
Okay. Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
Ugh, no. Makes my skin crawl, though.
Have you ever heard of Dambala?
No, sorry.
Do you know anything about veves?
Not a clue. Sorry.
Ritual patterns used in voodoo.
Fascinating. I can't help you out, though.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
In New Orleans?
I think so.
No, I don't, but it sounds dangerous. You're not gonna try to find this voodoo group yourself, are you?
Would I do that? Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Black voodoo? Ugh, now what are you getting yourself into?
Nothing you need to know about, do you?
I know there are dark forms of any major religion. Where there's a yin, there's a yang.
Speaking of yin and yang...
But no, I don't know anything really about voodoo, dark or otherwise, sorry.
Okay.
Are you sure you don't know anything about black voodoo?
You are desperate. I told you I can't help you.
Do you have messages for me?
That man from Germany called again, Wolfgang Ritter. Now he's claiming to be a relative of yours.
Interesting. Can I get that phone number for Wolfgang Ritter?
Sure, I'll give it to you when we're done talking.
Okay.
Do you have messages for me?
I've given everything to you.
Could you do some research for me?
Sure, what?
Ah, vale.
I can't think of anything.
Terminamos.
Here's that phone number.
Thanks.
Vale, pues voy a intentar llamar a este tipo a ver qué dice. Oye. ¿No tenemos unas cortinas o algo?
Get the hell out of here.
The figure outside does not respond.
Didn't Grace say you had to dial 011 first to get international?
¿De verdad? Cuatro, 9, 0, 9. Tres, 2, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3.
I'm not calling Germany. That Wolfgang Ritter guy says he's a relative, but I've never heard of him. Eres un macarra, Gabriel.
Hey, kids.
Bruno.
Gabe, pet, I just popped in to see if you're desperate enough to sell me that painting.
¿Cuánto?
How much would you give me for it?
Oh, you're serious? You'll let me have it?
Gabriel, don't you dare sell your father's painting.
Yeah, I'll let you have it all right. How much for the painting?
Well, I could give you 100. That's all I can let go at the moment, you know. My affairs are so tied up.
Gabriel, $100 for your father's painting?
Stay out of this, Grace.
Nah, hay que vendérselo, pero...
Well, I guess I don't need the money that badly.
From the looks of this shop, I'm sure you will, honey. And soon.
Pero vamos a pasarnos, parece que nos podemos pasar por casa de nuestra abuela a revisar algunos objetos de nuestro padre. ¿Me ha dado la impresión? ¿Is it possible? Efectivamente. Casa de la abuela Knight.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Oh, sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give me a kiss.
Now come on, sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
Retrato.
On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. Gabriel grew up in this room. Just being here makes him feel safe. And after about 5 minutes, claustrophobic. On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. Gran has a way with plants and kids. That ficus tree would be real helpful. Right.
No hace falta ser tan cínico y tan irónico.
Grandmother Knight rarely uses the fireplace these days. Too much of a hassle to clean. Mostly pictures of Gabriel, his dad, and Harrison Knight. Gabriel is sentimental enough without dragging those photos into it. Granny likes soft lighting. Granny likes the lamps lit. The sofa has a worn blue chintz pattern that Gabriel remembers fondly. Gran's knitting. She whips through that stuff like there was no tomorrow. Steal Granny's knitting? How low can you get? Gabriel doesn't knit. Okay, so Gran did teach him once, but he hasn't done it in years.
Vamos a hablar
That's
con
my
ella.
Gran. Adorable as always.
No.
You're such a tease.
A ver, ¿tú sabes algo de esto, abuela?
Does this mean anything to you, Gran?
Sorry. No, Gabriel.
Tengo un familiar alemán.
That clock has been in the Wright family, Granny's family, for centuries. Granny doesn't like anyone messing with her clock, including Gabriel. Fresh carnations, Granny's favorite.
Ok, pues momento de conversar.
Hey, that's my Gran. Show some respect. That's my Gran. How have you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but, I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime. Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
Vale, vamos a dejar el capítulo por aquí. Yes.